so many things, like how to love and how to lose and how to choose.
Hello, this is Linda Carbonell, and welcome to another edition of Walking to Life. Today, I happen to have my co-host, Kayla Schreiner. Kayla, are we talking about your book today? I think this is so exciting.
We are finally talking about my book today. We are actually almost coming up on 6 months of my book being published. I got it published October 3rd of 2020. The title of it is called A Different Kind of Wonder Woman. It is a memoir, so it's not an autobiography or anything like that. It's memoirs, it's little essays and stories of true events and feelings that are going on in my life that I think would be relatable to other women and mothers and daughters and grandmothers and even some men out there in the world.
This is true. I know some men that covered some lessons, especially about what was it you wanted at McDonald's, double cheeseburger, or was it a Big Mac?
I think it was a double cheeseburger. Those are my go-to.
Yeah. So I'd like to, in the beginning of the story, you did some dedications to your friends and your family, and I am honored that you put me in there. I am really honored about that, Kayla. I have watched you grow from not knowing what you're going to do to encouraging. You encourage me as I try to encourage you, and I think it makes a wonderful fit. Unfortunately, I'm not a writer, but when I got your book and you were able to read it to me, that meant so much to me. And the actual story that Gabe would say, when he reads the book, what he would think about his mom. Yes. I think that was wonderful. But I think my favorite part, though, is when you went and bought the, is it 88-cent pregnancy test?
Yes. Is
that what it was?
Yes. Oh. Yes, I think Walmart actually still has them. I don't know. It's been a while since I've taken one, but yes, I mean that seems to be the number one story that people like about this book. Is when I first found out that I was pregnant with my oldest son. I was working in the Upper Valley with a girlfriend of mine who I went to school with, and I just had an inkling that, something was going on, and it really encouraged me to go get a test. It was so nerve-wracking to find out, at work, and it was funny. It was scary. Something very relatable. I'm sure other mothers or women, can.
Oh, I could totally identify, especially when you went and told your mom, because I can remember the one time that I was pregnant and I went and told my father and my stepmom, and they're like, no, why not? You're only 24. I can remember that,
That's exactly how it was with me as well. I was not a young teenage mom. I was in my mid-20s, almost late 20s when I found out I was pregnant, and she did not approve at the time. And now, after having children of my own, I can see her worry. I don't think it was more so you don't know what to do to be a parent. I think it was all the responsibilities that came with actually being a parent, which I understand now more than I did then.
Right. And you were talking in the book a little bit about after Gabe was born and you had gone into like a depression, sought out some help. And it was funny the way that you were telling that story, because here it is, and this woman is looking at you, but looking at the paper, and it's like, what are you saying in there? I totally get that, because that's happened to me. Totally get it.
Absolutely. I have such a hard time with, come, I'll help you. I have one of them home with me actually now. I struggled a lot with therapy and finding the right therapists and not listening to me, my needs and my concerns. And I find that a lot of therapists only focus on what's happening in that moment instead of the big picture of what's really going on. And I struggled big time. And I was really more upset, as you'll find out in the book, is my husband really encouraged me to go to therapy. And it was something I did not want to do. He just really pushed me and needed me to do that. I did. I went. I didn't go again until I was ready. And after I'd had my son, no one warns you when you're a parent or any, whether it be a foster parent, a step parent, or a biological parent, no one prepares you for the isolation of that, of being so alone and having such a team during the pregnancy. And then when the pregnancy's over, that's it. And no one prepares you for that. And I finally made the commitment that I was going to seek help, seek therapy, even if it was just somebody I could talk about my day with.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times that's what it is, people getting together and sharing stories. And I think there's a lot of trust issues out there too. I mean, I know that's why I sought out therapy, was so that I would know that nobody else would be like, oh my gosh, she went through that, or oh my gosh, poor thing, or whatever, and not really understanding what my mental illness is. So for me, therapy worked more than not therapy, and I think now that I've started checking out for peer supports, I think that's one of the main things that this place needs is peer support. And I love it that you've used your voice. I mean, you are almost a twin to me, not looks wise. Not look wise. I don't mean that, because I'm older than you, a lot older. But anyway, I mean, as far as caring about people and wanting them to have a chance to share their voice and their story. And one of the examples that I love to say when I talk about you is that you decided that you were going to write a book, and you did. No matter how long it took you, you did. You wanted others to feel like they could share their story too. And that's why I do it too, Kayla. It really is. But I just want you to know how personal it is for me to have somebody like you. You've done 2 shows by yourself now. It's just awesome just to see that and how you can bring things out in your guest. I really like that. And that, my dear, is your talent too. That and writing and reaching out to people. But never stop doing those little videos with your boys and you dancing around. I love those too.
Oh yes, it's always an adventure with them, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm not saying that every day is a lot of fun, where we're throwing popcorn around and dancing around. That they're a good chunk of those good times.
Yeah, I think that's important when you have a mom that's going to go out and do recreational stuff with you and stuff. My mother was always a nature hiker, so we went out in nature and stuff. It was great. But I wanted to get to the part of the book where your friend had died from suicide and how that affected you.
Yes, it was such an impact on me. I was 13. I was only 13 years old when my good friend, committed suicide. He was 16-ish at that time. We were still very, very young. And being 13, you don't have the tools to properly grieve. Everyone expresses grief in their own way. There's no right or wrong way. But being that young, you shouldn't know what grief is. And when you don't know what that is, you don't know how to express yourself. And it's 20 years later, and it still tugs on my heartstrings at times. It's gotten a lot easier over the years, absolutely, but it still is there. And no matter how many times you can replay the situation, that's how the cards had fallen. So now, for me, I get to make that choice of how am I going to make each day be better? I'm not afraid to talk about suicide. I'm not afraid if anyone ever wants to come to me and ask me questions or talk about it or feeling down, I'm not gonna shy away or distract or anything like that. Like, let's talk about it. I try to be that person for other people.
Exactly. And you are that person. You know, I mean, even if we're not talking to somebody face to face about suicide, they're watching. They're watching, and I think it's important that we got voices like you and I that can talk about it, and other people that want to talk about it. Because the reason that people don't want to talk about it, because uh, they just feel that either they'll be put in the hospital or they'll lose their family or something, whatever it is. That was my case. But I wanted to get to the point in the book. Oh, I had a question that wasn't in the book.
Sure.
So when did you and Andy get married?
We got married literally 19 days before we had our first son, Gabriel. We were together 8 years, and we were engaged probably, I want to say 4 or 5 years. We were engaged 4 or 5 years before we actually got married. I always thought I wanted a big bash, a big wedding, you know, flowers, lights, disco ball, whatever. I thought I wanted all that. He thought I wanted all that. So we never really talked about marriage or actually like going forth with being married. And I was very much pregnant. We didn't have anything. We had nothing. And my husband, well, boyfriend at the time, he was like, you know, I don't have much. You know, we don't have a lot of money right now. The baby's going to be coming soon, but I want to do something for you for your birthday. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm like, let's go make it official. Let's go get married. And it was like, what? And we didn't tell anyone. We told, you know, a couple close friends. We didn't tell any of our family. We told a couple close friends. I had a teacher who was retired, and she became a justice of the peace. She got her license. So I said, I know the perfect person who's going to help. And I called her up, and ironically, the only day I had off from work that week was my actual birthday. So I have a birthday and an anniversary the same day. And then 19 days later, unexpectedly, we were at the hospital having our babe.
Yeah. What was it like for you when you found out about Gabe having autism?
You know, it's weird. And a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I'm not. And I'm starting to really pick up the signs that go on in my life. I don't trust my intuition at all. Like, there could be a neon sign flashing in front of me that says, you are right, this is correct. And I'm just like, no, can't be. It's not true. I actually have a conversation still saved. I messaged a girlfriend of mine a month before I had Gabriel. And I said, is there testing for autism? And she says, not in the womb, like the baby's not out yet. Why would you think that? You know, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. Where would you come up with such a thing? I said, I don't know. I don't know. And I kind of dismissed it for a little while, but then I always saw like little quirks about him that were just always off. He wasn't hitting his milestones the right way. His motor skills weren't there. He definitely had no speech, no babble, no nothing. I am so thankful that I had a pediatrician who at 15 months saw all the signs and said, you know, I think there's some red flags here. I think we need to get tested. We need to get evaluated. And Gabriel was diagnosed 1 month before his second birthday. And they usually are diagnosed between, you know, as young as 2 and up. It was it wasn't a death sentence. Everyone kept saying, you know, it's not a death sentence. This is not, you know, a bad thing. It's just different. So it really, again, put me in like a whole nother depression level of what did I do? Where did, you know, how do we fix this? What's long term? And even now he's 7 years old and I still wonder what's long term, you know, what's going to happen. You know, we're going through issues with him now because he's going through growth spurts. We have a lot of changes going on in our life right now. And I'm like, now he's going to be an adult, and you still worry about that, so it's never a calming water knowing that you have a child that's special needs, and in my case, I have two, not one, but two, two are on the spectrum. And, I had the other one, I had my youngest hoping that he would take care of his little brother. And now, they're going to have to take care of each other. And so we're just going to have to buy a big old farmhouse, and we're all going to have to just take care of each other.
Well, I got to give you credit for that, Kayla, because my mother was that way. She always treated me special, and I had another sister, and she always had the same sort of thing, I guess. But she always treated us not different. It was always the same, but she knew, that we had special needs, and it was great. And because she totally understood, and my sisters understood, and my best friend Jermaine understood, everybody understood, except for me until years later, and then I understood. But anyway, so I want to get to so we covered that. And I want to get to the part of the book with your mother, because you talked quite a bit about over the years with her, and things that you have done and milestones that you two have made.
Yeah, absolutely. The point of this book originally, I thought, was about my crazy mind and how it worked and how nothing ever, fell in line for me. And the more I kept writing, and I gutted half the book, and the more I kept writing, my mom just kept popping up in like each little story. And I was like, and then finally, our good friend Brian was like, this book is about your mom. And I'm like, no. And I was like really upset about it. And I was like, no, I'm like, this is me. This is mine. And he's like, no, he's like, you really need to see the whole big picture. You're only seeing bits and pieces of it. You need to see the whole big picture. My mother and I we've always had a rocky relationship. It was very rocky. And again, me not knowing what it's like to parent a child, I didn't know the things she was going through emotionally, mentally, and it wasn't until I had children of my own, till I started experiencing it, feeling it, and seeing it, where okay, this makes sense now. There have been many years my mother and I have, hashed things out, really talked about things that were causes of our rockiness, and we've overcome it. There are still times, where we still get at each other and don't have to talk for a couple days because we need to, regulate. But we've really, gone to the next step in a relationship where we've just become closer as mother and daughter and friendship wise.
Yeah, that's so important. It really is. And I'm glad you had that opportunity. I did with my mother too. And you had mentioned Brian Bowles.
Yes.
And he's going to be on next week. We're going to talk to him. So you want to tell the story about how Brian was helpful to you?
He was great. He really helped me understand what my book was about. He helped me fill in the empty spaces that I was missing in my book. He really, the night we published this book, we stayed up 2:00 in the morning, my time. He, really took the time to be there for me when I really needed this done and I really needed to see this through. And he was there in so many ways, not only in the project time, but he was also there spiritually for me. In my book, there's a chapter where Gabriel he's such a little sponge and he has so many questions. And he questioned about death, and death to me is just so scary. And I can't let him not know that. I have to talk to him about it. Everyone dies. It's okay. It's not going to happen for a long time. I fib the truth a little bit because, we don't know when we're going to go, when our time is. And Brian really helped me in that process right there. Really, because, as you know, he's a medium, and he's really helped me a lot spiritually and helped calm my waters in terms of death, the afterlife, having, our loved ones always around us. So that helps me to talk to Gabe about it when he questions, because every time, it's still to this day, every time we drive by, oh, look at that graveyard, oh, look at that, what are they doing there? And I'm like, well, you know what they're doing there. And so it's really, well, how did they die? What happened? So his father and I have, for many different reasons, but don't worry, we got a long life. We're going to be good, healthy, and live a long life.
Yeah. And I got the same sort of thing from Brian too. It's like a reassurance that he knows certain things that maybe you could also identify with, like with me. It was that, that during my mother's funeral, and I had written something up, I didn't even finish it, but when I said it, I just looked down at the paper every now and again. And I said, how is anybody else going to know that?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was like, yeah. And he also called me when I wasn't well to help me through my physical stuff. So I just appreciate everything that he does and that you do, and that Holly Brooks does. She's our friend too. So she's intuitive, I think. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I was bringing it up because I know we got a show to do with Brian next week, and I think it's going to be a really good show. I really do. And I wanted to go back to the book and talk more about your adventures with, I think it was going to the grocery store with your kids.
Well, we're always going to the grocery store.
I know, but there was one in particular cashier that Gabe said something to, I think.
Oh, Gabe has no stranger danger at all. And I have to try to make light of the situation whenever we're in public, because he's fast, he's always running ahead of me, and he's just this sweet boy. If anyone ever has the pleasure of meeting him, he would make an impact on them, because he is just so bubbly and so friendly. Anywhere we go, whether if it's a grocery store, if it's a park, or standing in line, anywhere, he's just like, hi, how are you? This is where I live. This is what I did today. See this cool toy? I got this today at the mail. Do you know what's happening? And he's really good at dates. So he's like, do you know what's happening in 3 days? And so then you got to stop and think, because, we're all old and every day is the same day, especially in a pandemic. So you're like, no, I don't know what tomorrow is. What day is tomorrow? And he will just tell you,
Does he know when Easter is?
Oh, yeah, he knows. And he was telling me yesterday, he says, you know what tomorrow is? And I'm like, because he knows that April 1st is coming up, and he knows that that's April Fool's. So this morning, he says, do you know what tomorrow is? And I said, no, I don't know. He goes, I'm getting a package in the mail. I can't believe you forgot. I said, oh, yeah, that's right. You're getting a package in the mail. So he very much tells me and everyone what's going on, when it's happening, the day it's happening, and who's going to be there. And it's great to see his little sponge mind work and flourish and grow.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to talk about that a little bit too, because that's kind of the way I feel sometimes when I talk to you too. Is only, I think I'm old enough to be your mother, but I don't want to be your mother. I'd rather be a sister. I'd rather to go out and get lost in the wilderness like you do and find a butterfly to bring me to the parking lot.
I do. I'm trying so hard to open up spiritually in any way possible. I took my boys hiking over the summer. I like to pretend I know how to hike. I don't know how to hike. I come very much unprepared. It's like going to the beach without a swimsuit. I just show up and I don't know where I'm supposed to go. So of course we go hiking. I don't know where I'm going. We're lost. Gabriel is looking for treasure because X marks the spot, and he just was on a mission, and we were going to find treasure. As we got deeper into the woods, the mosquitoes were killing me. I was getting hot. I was getting irritable, and he could sense that. I said, we got to get out of here. Are we lost? I said, I don't know. I couldn't tell him, yeah, we are lost, because we were lost, because I have no idea. I don't follow a map. Who follows a map? So I prayed. I said, you know, anyone that is holy, like, give me a sign. I need help. And as we kept walking, I saw this little butterfly, this little yellow and black butterfly just fly into my sight. And I looked in the direction that the butterfly was going, and I heard people, and I saw a family walk by, and that was our opportunity to jump out to the trail and follow them and get back into where we needed to be.
That's just so cool. You know, I have butterfly stories too. I love them. You know, they're such magical creatures to me. And I want to get back to the book because I know we're getting kind of towards the end, but I understand that you have a gift giveaway.
I do. Yes, I do. So anyone, you know, now that we're talking about this book, I'm sure some of you are all would love to know more about the book and are curious about it and want to laugh and cry and go through all the emotions in a book. So this would be our chance. What are we going to do? Are we going to have people just comment on the link below, send us an email or Facebook? I think you can do any of those things, and whatever you feel comfortable doing. You can send a smoke signal if you want. I would love to get this book into people's hands. So I think maybe like the first 5 people who, you know, send a comment, send a message that would really be interested in reading this book, be willing to give feedback, help spread the message, spread awareness. We would love that. And I would very much appreciate that. And I would be willing to give out some books to people who would be eager to read this.
Can you hold it up so people can see it?
Well, I didn't want to like talk in between, you know, because then you couldn't see me if I was talking. Because everyone wants to see.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
There we go. A different kind of Wonder Woman. Yeah, it's great. You know, I had a lot of help from this. Through the Woods Press really, really helped me. Just stayed committed to me to help push me to get this through. You know, you have helped, Brian, Holly, just all you guys. And I really appreciate all of it. You guys are wonderful, and I've enjoyed growing, and I know that everyone has seen that grow in me, and I hope to continue to keep going on that growing path of whatever it is that I'm meant to do.
Well, you know, and that's the thing, you know, we know what our purpose is. Sometimes it doesn't always go the way we want to right away, you know, or you might have like like I do with the times when I don't have guests for Walking Through Life or whatever, but there's always something that comes right behind that fills that spot. So sometimes, you know, it can be an up and down thing. You know, I don't know about books, writing books. I know about doing shows and stuff. But the one thing that I would tell people if they're interested in getting that book, to go to the Walking to Life Facebook page, or email me at walklife@comcast.net. And you will see Kayla on Facebook too, on the Walking to Life page. And make sure you're able to give her your address too. That would be good, because then you could send it out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be a signed copy. And then anyone who wants more and the giveaway is not available, you can also find this book on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I would love to hear from any of you out there. And I'm sure there's many of you out there that's probably got books in you too. So I encourage you to check out Kayla and what she's done and her book, and just watch the way that she has grown and found her purpose in her life. And I'm so pleased that Walking Through Life is part of that purpose for you, Kayla.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you again.
Yeah. You'll, I mean, it's just really, really appreciate you, Kayla. I really do. And I'm very proud of you, as I know many people are. You got another book in you. I know you do.
I do. I actually am currently working on a couple different books right now. I have a goal. For fall or December, whatever year we are, 2021, of at least 3 more.
Nice. That's good. So we can do shows about all 3. Yeah. Well, anyway, I know we have to go for Walking Through Life today, but thank you so much, Kayla. And we will see you next week. And this is strange interviewing you instead of doing like a show together.
It
A
is.
regular.
It is. It's different.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But anyway, this is Linda Carbonell and
Kayla Shiner.
And we are saying goodbye for Walking Through Life today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Walking through this life of mine, well, it's teaching me so many things, like how to love and how to lose and how to choose. Walking through this life, some days I get so tired and I feel that I can't